Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The season is just beginning, but Buddy Hield hasn't shown any improvement and is losing his place in the rotation. Hield is a highly regarded three-point shooter and therefore has value in the league, and trading him for a good defender would be the solution. The Los Angeles Lakers have always been interested in Buddy Hield, and this could be his destination. A trade for Jared Vanderbilt would be a good idea to improve the Warriors' defense. Buddy Hield's hot and cold nature has been obvious since his arrival at the Golden State Warriors last year, and it's again becoming a nagging and ongoing problem for the franchise to start this season. As one of the best three-point shooters in the league over the last decade, Hield will always earn the respect of opposing defenses. However, his start to this season has been underwhelming to say the least, having averaged just 6.9 points on 40% shooting from the floor and 28.1% from three-point range through 7 games. Buddy Hield's inconsistent shooting is a problem that won't go away. While the Warriors may not be relying on Hield in a way that they were forced to do during last season's playoffs, there's still a reliance on the veteran sharpshooter given their lack of other scoring options off the bench. Golden State currently ranked 25th across the league in bench scoring, largely stemming from the disappointing form of Hield and some others, along with Jonathan Kuminga's insertion into the starting lineup. The problem is Hield has proven he can't be relied upon as a consistent shooter and scoring threat. His explosive 33-point game-winning performance in Game 7 of last season's first-round playoff series proves he's more than capable, but hot shooting games are also intertwined with numerous cold periods where Hield is a liability of sorts on the floor. We're going through one of those periods right now. The Warriors are asking less of him from a playing time perspective, with Hield currently averaging nearly 6 minutes less than the 22.7 per game he averaged in his first year with the franchise. In many ways that's a positive because Steve Kerr isn't being forced to play through Hield's struggles, but it doesn't prevent the bench scoring issues that have been so prevalent for Golden State to start the season. The Warriors need Hield to step up and provide some sort of consistency, or potentially look at other options externally who could fill the role. With DeAnthony Melton soon to return from injury and Seth Curry also likely to back on the roster, Hield's minutes could become even more limited. If that's the case, then utilizing his $9.2 million salary could become much more of an option on the trade market. So not only do Golden State need more from Hield in the short term, but the 32-year-old could also be playing for his future at the franchise if he can't get back on track before the midseason trade deadline. Warriors defense exposed in blowout loss to Nuggets. Without Stephen Curry, the Golden State Warriors weren't supposed to beat the Denver Nuggets on Friday. But they were supposed to put up much more of a fight. The Nuggets shot 56.1% from the floor and 48.5% from three while blowing out the Warriors 129-104 in each team's first 2025 NBA Cup game. Golden State had no answers defensively. Defense exposed in a variety of ways. Nikola Jokic played just 28 minutes, dominating Golden State with 26 points, 12 of 15 shooting, 9 assists and 7 rebounds. Put simply, the Nuggets probably could have scored 140+ if they had played their starters more. It's easy to make excuses for the Warriors. They've played 3 back-to-back already, and they've had to travel after all but one of their games. They are likely exhausted and a bit banged up, as Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green and Moses Moody were all listed as questionable before suiting up. Al Horford's absence didn't help matters either. But the Nuggets dominating them in this fashion is concerning. There simply wasn't enough resistance in the paint, as Jonas Valanciunas had a season-best 16 points, 16 minutes, and Aaron Gordon had 18 points, including this highlight reel dunk. Jamal Murray was in a great rhythm all game, taking advantage of Golden State's lack of an elite on-ball defender. He poured in 23 points on just 12 field goal attempts. Where the Warriors go from here? That the Warriors have no answer for Jokic isn't surprising. Virtually nobody does. So they can and will bounce back to some extent. But it hasn't been just the Denver games. Overall, the Warriors are just 16th in defensive rating. They finished 7th last year with a similar roster, which begs the question, Is age catching up to them, or will they regress to the mean over the coming weeks? They looked very engaged in 98-79 win over the Clippers, which wasn't that long ago. But outside of that game, there are reasons to be concerned. Draymond Green can put a band-aid on a crack or two, but if the whole ship is sinking around him, there's nothing he can do. The first thing they'll have to do is stop turning the ball over so much. That actually wasn't a major problem Friday, 12 turnovers, but being 8th worst in turnover rate has led to way too many transition points allowed. Aside from that issue, which seems correctable as long as they lean more heavily into letting turnover-averse Jimmy Butler make most of the decisions with ball, the solutions aren't obvious. And the schedule is actually even more daunting for the next 2 weeks. The Warriors play a 6-game and 9-day road trip starting Tuesday that includes matchups with the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder, surging San Antonio Spurs, 2X, and East playoff contenders in Orlando and Miami. Getting Curry back soon will help, but with or without him, they have to be better defensively or else they could dig themselves an early season hole that will be even harder to get out of with an aging core. 3 Warriors now on the hot seat after Will Richard's shock breakout game. These guys need to step it up. The Golden State Warriors seem to have an absolute steal on their hands in shooting guard Will Richard. He just had a breakout 30-point performance against the Sacramento Kings on Wednesday night, even though it ultimately came in a 121-116 defeat. Richard made 10 of his 15 field goal attempts and made 5 of his 8 three-point attempts while also recording 3 assists on the night. Arguably the most impressive part of Richard's night was not what he did on the floor, but what he said after the game when he stated that his 30-point night didn't really matter to him because the team lost the game. 3 Warriors on the hot seat after hot start from Will Richard. That sort of selflessness and maturity really stands out when it comes from a rookie player. The 22-year-old's stunning performance and impressive start to the season has put teammates on notice, including 3 who are now on the hot seat. 1. Brandon Podziemski. The Warriors have seen some inconsistent play so far this season from Brandon Podziemski, having got off to a rough start early yet seemingly righting the ship, though there are still made mistakes here and there that he has to clean up. Podziemski will remain a key rotation player and occasional starter for now, but there could come a time where Golden State need to find more minutes for Richard and where those of the third-year guard reduces as a result. 2. Gary Payton II. While Gary Payton has been a solid role player for the Warriors over a number of years, he has seen his production drop so far this season. His playing time has already gone down, and if Richard continues this upward trajectory, then he may see his playing time fall further and further in favor of the rookie out of the University of Florida. 3. Buddy Hield. Warriors fans love Buddy Hield when he is hitting big shots and getting hot from beyond the arc, but conversely when he goes cold offensively, he doesn't bring much to the table beyond some playful banter with Jimmy Butler. He has seen his minutes and points per game go down from last season, and despite being a veteran head coach, Steve Kerr has already proved on Wednesday that he won't hesitate to go with Richard over Hield if the production warrants it. It is early in the season and it is easy to overreact to one big game from a rookie, but Richard could really challenge these players for playing time if he builds off his breakout performance going forward. Will Richard could easily make Buddy Hield expendable mid-season. While Richard got his first career start and played nearly 35 minutes against the Sacramento Kings despite being a DNP over the previous 2 games, veteran sharpshooter Buddy Hield was limited to less than 14 minutes off the bench. With the star trio of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green on the sidelines, you would think that Hield's veteran experience may have been important on the second night of a back-to-back. Instead, the 32-year-old played even less than his season average, and his minutes could continue to dwindle based on his own form and Richard's incredible 30-point game that came with 5 threes, 7 rebounds, and on an efficient 10 of 15 shooting from the floor. Everybody is on notice. Take care of the ball because we have people who are ready to do it and they're ready to step in. Steve Kerr warns the rest of his Warriors players that Will Richard is ready to steal their minutes. If Richard continues to emerge and can become a legitimate rotation piece even when the veterans return, something he showed in brief minutes through the first 6 games of the season, then it might be more than just minutes in the rotation that Hield loses. His spot on the roster could come into jeopardy leading into the midseason deadline, with Hield easily appearing like the most expendable piece right now of any Golden State player making more than the minimum. Warriors have surprising Quinton Post problem that Al Horford's making worse. Many of the concerns surrounding Quinton Post entering the season regarded his defense and rebounding, but it's actually his inconsistent shooting that's a surprising problem for the Golden State Warriors through 9 games. Post's made strides on the defensive end and has had a couple of big shooting games in recent times, yet the reliability in his stroke has disappeared a little, which is only made worse by Al Horford's own struggles to start his career with the Warriors. Quinton Post needs to become a more consistent shooting threat. Post had 73 made threes in 42 games during his rookie year, but has only 10 so far through 9 games. His percentage has dropped to 35.7% to start the season, but the bigger concern is the fact it's seemingly feast or famine for the young big man right now. 8 of Post's 10 made triples have come in 2 games, having shot 4 of 7 from three-point range against the LA Clippers last week before dropping another 4 of 6 performance from downtown in a win over the Phoenix Suns on Tuesday. That means that Post is 2 of 15 from beyond the arc in the other 7 games, something that's certainly played a role in more limited minutes than what would have otherwise been expected going into his second season. The 25-year-old has certainly improved markedly in both his rebounding and his defense, but the three-point shooting is where he butters his bread and what's going to make him a long-term NBA player. The bigger issue at play is the fact that the Warriors aren't getting consistent production from their center rotation as a whole. You can live easier with Post's 35.7% from beyond the arc if Al Horford was drilling his threes, but the veteran center's struggles is perhaps only putting more pressure on his young teammate. Horford is shooting just 5 of 24, 20.8%, from three-point range through his first 6 games with the Warriors, including 2 of 20 if you take out the home opener against the Denver Nuggets. The concerns were epitomized on Wednesday when Post and Horford combined to shoot 0 of 13 from the floor in what was only a 5-point loss to the Sacramento Kings. There's enough improvement on the defensive end to be encouraged by Post's start to the season, but the Warriors still need more consistent production from the center position if they're to become the type of legitimate championship contender they want to be. Klay Thompson might realize he should have stuck with the Warriors. Thompson is making $16.7 million this season in the second of his 3-year, $50 million contract, making him a sizable contract for the Mavericks to move in order to try and address their current early season woes. It is no secret that Nico Harrison and the Mavericks front office will explore what return exists for Klay Thompson before the trade deadline, Siegel wrote. Given he's just been moved to the bench and is averaging a career-low 8.5 points on only 34.2% shooting from the floor and 29.2% from three-point range, it's hard to see too many teams having strong interest in Thompson while giving up anything of major value. Yet the sheer idea of Thompson being on the trade market might be enough for the man himself to realize that he and the Warriors should have found a way to remain together, even if it meant sacrificing something from a contract perspective. Sure, Golden State nearly famously traded Thompson for Kevin Love prior to their dynastic period, but the sheer success that the veteran sharpshooter brought the franchise meant he was very rarely in trade conversations thereafter. While the Warriors were clearly willing to let Thompson walk to another team in free agency, would they have ever been keen on the idea of trading a franchise legend? One look at former teammate Draymond Green would suggest no. There's been plenty of times where Golden State could or should have traded Green, and you could argue even now that they should consider it if makes for a legitimate upgrade, but the former DPOY has such a stature at the franchise that makes it highly unlikely. Thompson could have remained at the Warriors in the comfort of knowing he'd almost assuredly retire there. Instead, he took a risk to join a new team in the hope of greater prosperity. Such risks don't always work out, and now his future is at the mercy of a ruthless general manager who clearly doesn't have the same emotional attachment as that of his former team.